A spark in the dark. The night was thick with silence, a silence so deep it felt like the world itself had ceased to breathe. Miriam stood at the edge of the old bridge, looking out over the black river below, her mind as murky as the water. She had come here for answers, though she didn't know what the question was anymore. The wind whipped through her hair, tugging at the edges of her worn coat. She shivered, not just from the cold, but from the weight of the memories that seemed to rise up with every gust. It had been 3 months since Noah disappeared, since the night the storm had taken him, pulling him into the abyss, like it had done so many before him. Her heart still echoed with the sound of his voice, the last words he had said before everything had gone black. "I'll be back before the storm passes. Wait for me." But she hadn't waited. She hadn't known how. The storm had raged for hours, the rain so thick it swallowed the world whole. The last time she'd seen him was at the edge of the river, his figure vanishing into the mist, chasing something she couldn't understand. She'd called out to him, but he hadn't looked back. Now, standing on the bridge, she could almost hear his voice again, soft, reassuring, like he was still with her. "Wait for me." A rustling sound broke her thoughts, followed by a sudden flare of light. Miriam gasped, stumbling back as a small spark flickered at the far end of the bridge, near the old lantern she remembered Noah had always loved. The flame was barely a whisper against the dark, but it burned with such intensity that it almost seemed out of place. She stepped forward cautiously, drawn to it as if the spark itself were calling her. It flickered once, twice, then steadied into a bright, steady glow. Miriam's heart skipped a beat. "Noah," she whispered, as if the name might bring him back. The light didn't respond, but the air around her seemed to shift, the silence deepening, growing almost expectant. As she approached the lantern, her breath caught. The flame was unlike anything she had ever seen. Its light, pale blue, almost ethereal. A faint trail of smoke rose, curling into shapes that almost resembled letters. She leaned in closer, trying to make sense of the shapes in the smoke, when a familiar voice, soft but unmistakable, whispered from the dark, "Don't be afraid." Miriam's heart surged. She turned, her eyes scanning the shadows, but no one was there. "You're not alone, Miriam," the voice continued, now coming from all around her. "The storm isn't finished yet. You have to find me." Tears welled in her eyes as the lantern flickered one last time, its light shrinking until only the tiniest spark remained, barely visible, but still alive. She knew what she had to do. Without thinking, she stepped into the mist, the faint glow of the spark guiding her path. The river churned below, its